Hi, ladies. It's me again, Kristen Peterson. I'm a certified health coach, and I was asked to put together a quick presentation to you ladies at Risen Savior, the Women's Ministries group, and talk to you guys about sodium, which I think is a really important topic. We need to talk about this a little bit more, and it's a huge weakness for me. So I really appreciate Annie asking me to talk on this topic because it was a good reminder for me on some things that I could probably be doing better. So I've put together some really great notes, and I hope that this presentation blesses you guys and just sets as a reminder for some things that we all need to be aware of and be cautious of, because sodium is something that we unfortunately need to be using very sparingly. So I'm going to get right to it. So give you guys a quick table of contents. We're going to talk about what sodium is, why we crave it, what it does in our bodies, what sodium is doing to us. So we'll talk a little bit about maybe why you would want to limit sodium. And I'll talk to you guys just a little bit about some sodium alternatives or things that I do and I suggest when I am coaching people on how you can maybe eliminate or at least even just reduce. Huge reminder for myself as well. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk. So what is sodium? Sodium is a mineral. It derives from the earth. And this might also have a lot to do with why we crave sodium so much, because we are from the earth. We are part of it. And it might just be something it's a natural craving because this is something that we want more of, because it's a mineral that comes from the earth. So what happens is it can have a grounding effect for our bodies. It can be very soothing and calming and comforting. So when we sweat or when we are peeing, we're shedding minerals, and that shed of minerals can actually cause cravings for salt, and emotions can cause cravings for salt, especially when we're feeling unsure, uncertain. Our bodies can tend to crave salt just because we are craving that desire to be grounded. And right now, since unfortunately we can't gather together to be in the same room together, we're in some uncertain times, and there are a lot of stressful emotions going. We're all experiencing it and doing the best we can to deal with it. And sometimes that might mean that we're reaching for the salt shaker a lot more because it's without even maybe knowing it, we're just craving that calmness and that just grounding effect. Because think about it, stress and anxiety and emotions tend to lift us up, and we're up here and we're swirling, and our emotions have us very unsteady and all up here, and we all are kind of craving that desire to just kind of be brought back down, be grounded. So salt can be something we're naturally craving. But I want to talk for a second about what sodium salt can do in our bodies. So I don't think it's any surprise when I tell you that sodium is dehydrating. And what it does inside of our bodies is it preserves toxins and poisons inside of our bodies. It stores it. So, that term water retention. So when you feel like if any of you ever felt it, I know I certainly have, because I tend to be a way oversalter. And sometimes when I do that, I can feel like a tightness in my knees. And even in my hands, you'll notice your fingers swelling and your joints will swell because you're retaining water. So what that's doing, it's that sodium is storing the toxins and the poisons inside of our bodies. And our bodies are, our organs, our liver especially, and our kidneys are trying to flush those toxins out, but too much sodium in our bodies can actually cause it to store in there. So it's not just a water retention, you're also retaining the toxins and poisons inside of your body. And when we do that, what it does is it concentrates inside of our organ tissues. And so when we're storing those toxins and poisons, it's pushing away the hydration. So when we're dehydrated, it makes it impossible for the organs to cleanse, because it's just hanging onto all that extra water. It's storing toxins and poisons. It's not allowing the hydration to come in, and it's not allowing everything to flow out, right? So we need the organs to cleanse. It's essential for our overall health. So reducing the salt that we get from certain foods can help the organs detoxify and just, you know, function better, because we need them to, you know, especially when we're sleeping, we need that to flush back out. So, and another reason that we might, especially right now, want to reduce our sodium intake is because it disrupts our body's immune system. And because when it's removing water from our natural killer cells. And I think in my last presentation to you guys, I talked about immune health and why that was important. Well, we have our acquired and our natural born or our innate immune system, but that natural born, those natural killer cells that are in part of our immune system, it interferes with their ability to seek out and destroy pathogens. And right now, we really need our body's immune systems to be functioning properly. So I think now more than ever, if we're going to focus on reducing sodium content, it would really be pertinent right now to make sure that we're reducing that. So I will point out one little benefit that I can think of about sodium is that it actually helps to aid in digestion, because it helps pull hydrochloric acid into the stomach. So, you know, when your mouth starts watering, that is actually the first start of digestion. That is the first, you smell some really good food. You're hungry, your mouth starts watering. It's pumping the acids into the stomach that our bodies need in order to digest foods, in order to break them down in the stomach. And salt can aid in that, which is typically why we think that with sea cultures, like in Asian cultures, they have miso soup. It's a salty broth. Or we have, a tossed salad with a vinegary dressing on it. And those things help. That's got some sodium content in it, and it helps to aid in that digestion by getting that hydrochloric acid into the gut. We're talking about reasons to avoid it, and also just, when we get this too much sodium in the cells, and it's stopping our cells from being slippery and liquidy and moving through our bodies. It's making our cells more rigid, which is also why too much sodium is not good for heart health. So I want to talk a little bit about some sodium alternatives. At the end, I'm going to share with you guys a quick screenshot of a homemade electrolyte drink, because we need a certain amount of salt in our diets, but we need them probably from better sources than just table salt, right? We tend to be over-salting foods. So I will share with you a homemade electrolyte drink compare it to like a homemade Gatorade or a Powerade. And we do put a little bit of salt in there. And it's hot right now, and it's summertime, and maybe we're just drinking water. We get tired of drinking water. I like to use this drink when I'm outside, if I'm exercising outside or going for a walk, or back, when we used to be able to go to sporting events outside. Bring your own homemade Gatorade with you. And sea vegetables is another good sodium alternative. In the form of dulse, D-U-L-S-E, dulse, also in kombu, K-O-M-B-U. These are good salty alternatives. And sea vegetables can help remove toxic metals and radiation, that was something that we all have in our bodies. And it just comes from the environment and from foods that we eat, but we really need to help flush these things out. And certain things like sea vegetables and cilantro can help flush out heavy metals. So it's good to get cilantro in the diet to help flush those out, because too much heavy metals and toxins in our bodies, it can contribute to autoimmune disorders. And if we keep flushing those things out with sea vegetables, it helps to lessen our chances or lessen the severity of autoimmune disorders. So I use kombu when I'm cooking. I add a chunk to some simmering liquids and broths and soups or crock pot or instant pot meals. It can add a salty bit of flavor, and it can basically, since it adds that salty brininess to the foods, it can help you minimize your urge to use added salts and table salt. So I say use that first and then add your salt, afterwards. So just simple things like omitting salt during cooking and adding salt to your food when you serve it. So you're adding salt to taste. It can drastically help with oversalting, because when you read a recipe and you're cooking at home, it tells you to, add salt to the boiling water and add salt during at this point of the cooking process or that point of the cooking process. But if you add it when you're serving the food, you're probably going to be adding a whole lot less salt to your foods when you do that. And then one of the things that we teach on the monthly cleanse program that I lead, the Shred 10 cleanse, is avoiding processed foods. And one of the reasons that we do that is because those foods have a huge high sodium content, most processed foods. And they do that because, I mean, sodium makes foods taste good, but they're adding a lot more sodium to foods when you're purchasing something in a package and things, even whether it's boxed foods or, you know, even bags of potato chips, bags of snacks and crackers, bottled marinades and seasonings and dried herb and seasoning blends and things. So look at the sodium content in those, or make your own at home. Make your own dressings, marinades, herb and spice blends on foods that you will tend to use a lot less sodium if you do it yourself than if you purchase those things that are pre-made. And just by doing that alone, you can reduce the amount of sodium that you're getting in your diet. And when you're using salt, when you're cooking at home, I like to use salt with color. Himalayan sea salt is very readily available. I buy mine in the bulk bin over at Sprouts. And I use that at the end of cooking. Just salt that has color has mineral content. It hasn't been stripped of all of its minerals. So we know that when we, like I said earlier, when we pee, we're peeing out minerals like potassium, right? Some of those minerals get peed out or sweat out when we're sweating or going to the bathroom. And it's good to replenish those, but do it in moderation. It doesn't mean that if you're eating Himalayan salt or Celtic sea salt that's gray, that you can just, you know, use copious amounts. But it's a good way to at least get minerals in your body when you're also going to be shedding them anyway, right? So why not get something good in there? And hydrating with plenty of water. So if you are retaining water, you want to help flush it out. And also lemon water. And I mentioned this in another presentation to your group, what lemon water does to help purge it purges toxins out of the body. It helps to alkalize the blood. I do this first thing in the morning when I wake up, because when we wake up, our organs have been purging and cleansing when we sleep, and that's what our organs are designed by God to do. You're sleeping and your organs are cleaning house. And when you wake up, your body wants you. It helps if you have the lemon water, lemon or lime water. Put like the juice of a half a lemon in there each morning in room temperature or even warm water. You can add a little bit of honey to this if it helps make it more palatable for you. And it helps when you do that first thing in the morning. It helps alkalize your blood. We wake up acidic, and it helps to flush all those things out. It's like sweeping the floor and putting it in a nice, neat little pile. But when you wake up in the morning, that lemon lime water helps to flush that little pile out of the room. So great way to start the day. And I will share with you, I have a recipe here that I will share with you, as I promised, for this homemade homemade electrolyte drink. This is a great way to just get a little bit of that sodium content in our bodies, because notice in here there's just a 1/4 teaspoon of Himalayan salt, 4 cups of room temperature filtered, good clean water. It can be cold, it can be room temperature. I like it either way. The juice of a lemon and a couple teaspoons of, and I always like to recommend local honey, just because this can also help with seasonal allergies and stuff too. So, but if you can't find local honey, you can certainly just use, a store-bought honey. But I love this drink, especially now when it's hot out. We tend to be a little bit dehydrated. And when we're dehydrated, we tend to, we get that way sometimes just from too much sodium, too much salt in our diet, and also just from eating too much processed foods. But this is a great way to just add something a little bit different, something other than water to your diet, something just keeping things a little bit more exciting, a little bit more fun. You guys can think I've left that up long enough that we can probably remember what that is. I can also certainly forward this so that it's in the email that you receive as well. And I just want to close out by just thanking you again for asking me to be here with you ladies today and sharing with you. I certainly do miss being in the room with all of you and feeling the energy and seeing your faces. And I hope that this blessed you. I hope it enlightened you. I hope, if anything, it was a good reminder about why we would want to remove some of the sodium and finding some better options to do that. So I encourage you, to look up sea vegetables and things like spirulina or dulse or kombu, Kombu, on Amazon, or looking for those at like Whole Foods will have those things most certainly. And to adding those into like a little bit into a smoothie or in simmering liquids, just to help get that salty, briny, earthy taste, which may also help you be able to reduce or eliminate salt. But if anything, just add sodium at the end of cooking can help drastically reduce that amount, which is just good for us overall, good for our heart health, for hydration, dehydration, and all of those great things. So thank you, ladies, so much. Please reach out to me if there's anything that I can help you with, or if you have any further questions. I will look forward to hopefully very, very soon being able to be back in the same room with all of you and seeing your faces and sharing your energy. Thank you so much.